When my wife died, my son said, "You can't bring Mom back, and my wife's birthday is only once a year." Those words hit me like a slap in the face. The next day, he came to me with a vital request, as if nothing had ever happened. It was my chance to correct the insult he'd dealt to me and his late mother, and I took that chance. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. My hands were shaking as I dialed Michael's number at 8:30 a.m., adjusting my black tie for the third time. Daisy's empty coffee mug was on the counter, lipstick still faintly marking the rim. The kitchen felt empty without her morning humming. 4 rings. Then, Michael's sleepy voice. "Yeah?" "Son, it's Dad." I straightened my shoulders. "The funeral starts at 11:30. Loud music was blaring through the phone. Laughter echoed in the background, Jennifer's voice shouting about decorations. Michael cleared his throat. "Dad, I told you yesterday. Jennifer's birthday party is tonight. We've been planning this for months." The words landed like ice water. I gripped the receiver tighter. "Your mother's funeral is today, Michael, a once-in-a-lifetime thing." "Look, Mom isn't coming back, but my wife's birthday only happens once a year. The caterers are coming. The band is setting up. Your mother raised me for 35 years, and I appreciate that, but I can't just ditch Jennifer on her special day. You get that, right?" The dial tone hummed in my ear. I sat motionless for exactly 3 minutes, staring at Daisy's reading glasses next to the phone. The kitchen clock read 8:47 a.m. My wedding ring caught the morning sunlight streaming through the windows she had washed just last week. I found the funeral program on the counter. Michael was listed as a pallbearer. My pen crossed out his name with deliberate strokes. At the cemetery, faces turned, expectant. "Where's Michael?" Patricia, Daisy's sister, asked. I practiced my answer. Important commitments, the words tasted like ash. 23 people came to honor my wife of 40 years. Her son was not one of them. I stood alone by the casket, surrounded by Daisy's garden club friends and our old neighbors. The empty space where Michael should have been felt enormous. "She was so proud of that boy," whispered Mrs. Davis, always talking about his success. I nodded, my throat tight. Daisy had defended Michael to her last breath. "He's just busy with his new life," she'd said when he missed her chemo appointments. "Young couples need their space." The pastor spoke of family bonds and eternal love. I watched the dirt fall on the polished wood, each shovelful burying not just Daisy, but my illusions about our son. Driving home, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The passenger seat where Daisy used to sit stretched out empty beside me. She'd always insisted we take her little sedan instead of my truck. Said it was better for the environment. The radio played her favorite song. I snapped it off. Our street looked the same. Manicured lawns, painted mailboxes, the life we had built together. I pulled into the driveway and sat for a moment, gathering the strength to face the quiet inside. The front door key turned with its familiar click. I hung the keys on the hook Daisy had installed. A small, everyday action that felt monumental in the silence. No humming from the kitchen, no TV murmuring. Just the house settling around 40 years of memories. I loosened my black tie and sank into my recliner. The brown leather one, Daisy always said, clashed with her floral curtains. She'd wanted to redecorate for years, but I'd been too busy building the business. Now, those curtains would stay forever. Our wedding photo smiled from the mantel. Daisy at 23, radiant in her grandmother's dress. We'd gotten married right here in town, promised each other everything we had. I kept that promise. Maybe too well. The memories flooded in, uninvited. Michael taking his first steps in this very living room, chubby hands reaching for Daisy's outstretched arms. Birthday parties with handmade decorations because we couldn't afford store-bought. Daisy working double shifts at the diner while I got the construction company off the ground. She never complained. Not when I worked 16-hour days. Not when we ate mac and cheese for weeks. "We're building Michael's future," she'd whisper after he'd fallen asleep between us in our bed, too small for his own room. I found her Bible on the nightstand, a bookmark still pointing to the Psalms. A handwritten note fell out. "My dearest Arthur, please don't let Michael forget us. We gave him everything we had. I hope it was enough. All my love. D." My hands shook as I read her careful script. In the closet, I found the special box she'd hidden, Michael's report cards, saved from kindergarten all the way through college, every A+ celebrated, every achievement treasured. She'd written little notes on each one. So proud. Our brilliant boy. The graduation photos hurt the most. Michael in his cap and gown. Degree paid for with Daisy's overtime and my weekend jobs. Total cost, $200,000. His proud smile, never acknowledging the sacrifice behind his success. I pulled out my calculator and started adding it up. The down payment on the house I'd given him, $350,000. His wedding to Jennifer, $75,000. His first car, $35,000. The grad school he insisted on but never used, $48,000. The emergency loans for vacations, Jennifer's shopping sprees, the failed business ventures. Daisy's coffee mug was still in the dishwasher. Her romance novel lay open on her nightstand, the bookmark waiting for eyes that would never return. Get well cards from friends covered the kitchen counter, people who had cared more about her last months than her own son. The numbers kept climbing. Michael's total, over 15 years, $847,000, almost $1 million of our lives given with love and hope. I remembered my own father, a tough man who'd given me nothing but the expectation to make my own way. Builds character, he'd said. Maybe he was right. Darkness fell outside. I didn't bother turning on the lights. A car pulled into the driveway, the engine idling. I didn't get up to look. If Michael wanted to talk, he knew where to find me. The engine revved, and he drove away. At 6 a.m., I sat at my mahogany desk, file folders spread in precise rows. Michael, education. Michael, house. Michael, wedding. My coffee went cold as I opened the calculator app and began the accounting Daisy had been too kind to demand. My reading glasses reflected the computer screen as I pulled up the bank records. 15 years of transactions, each one marked transfer to Michael, or emergency loan. M. The papers whispered in the silent house, the only sounds in my new reality. First, the college tuition, 4 years at $52,000 each. I remembered writing those checks, Daisy working extra shifts to cover our own bills while our son partied at the state university. Then, grad school. Another $48,000 for a master's he never used, dropping the program to find himself in Europe. That European trip, $35,000. Just temporary, Dad, until I get settled. The house purchase nearly broke us, Michael at 25 standing in our living room with Jennifer's ring on his finger. We found the perfect place, but we're just a little short on the down payment. $350,000. I'd co-signed the mortgage, covering every cent of the down payment. Family helps family, Michael had said, hugging me tight. I'll pay you back as soon as the business takes off. What business? He'd been working for me since graduation, collecting a salary he hadn't earned while learning the ropes of a trade I'd hoped he'd value. Daisy's secret notebook fell out of the files, her handwriting documenting every sacrifice. Canceled anniversary dinner. Michael needed $5,000 for car repair. Postponed my doctor's visit. Michael's wedding costs higher than expected. Bought generic groceries this month. Sent Michael money for Jennifer's birthday. Her final note was the one that hurt the most. We gave Michael everything. I hope he remembers us kindly. The calculator's numbers climbed. $847,000, over $750,000. My father had given me $20 in a handshake when I left home. I'd built everything from nothing, and Michael saw it all as his inheritance to be spent while we were still alive. I remembered him calling my company a family business last Christmas, as if he'd built it alongside me instead of walking into a ready-made position. Jennifer had nodded in approval, already planning how to spend the profits I'd earned from 40 years of work. My business mindset kicked in. This was a problem requiring a solution, not grief requiring comfort. I'd been too emotional for too long, making excuses for behavior that Daisy had worried about in private. Maybe we're doing too much for him, she'd whispered after Michael's last emergency. Her photograph watched from the corner of the desk as I closed the files. I stood up with a new resolve, feeling something harder than grief settling in my chest. You were right to worry, I told her picture. The phone rang. Michael's name lit up the caller ID. I watched it for 4 rings, then answered. Hey, Dad. Hope you're doing okay after, yesterday. Michael's voice had that familiar, cheerful tone, the one he used when he needed something. I noted he didn't mention the funeral specifically, didn't ask how I was coping with Daisy's absence. I'm managing. I kept my voice flat, looking over financial documents. Good, good. Listen, I'm calling because we need to cover some unexpected costs. Jennifer's party was amazing, but we went a little overboard. You know how it is. You only turned 32 once, right? In the background, I heard Jennifer's voice. Tell him about the band. Yeah, so we hired this incredible live band, took everyone to that new steakhouse downtown. We bought Jennifer this gorgeous diamond bracelet. She deserves the best, you know. But now the credit card bills are rolling in, and we're looking at about $15,000 in immediate payments. $15,000. I did a quick calculation. Loan number 47, in 15 years. Yesterday, I had buried my wife. Today, my son wanted money for a party. Can you transfer it to my account today? Jennifer's really stressed about the bills, and you know how she gets when she's worried. The moment stretched between us. I looked at Daisy's photograph, then at the neat columns of numbers documenting the total cost of Michael to our marriage. No. Silence. Then. What do you mean, no? Is there a problem with the bank? I mean, no, Michael. I will not be giving you any more money. The cheerful mask slipped from his voice. Are you seriously saying no to me right now, after everything we've been through this week? Everything we've been through, as if he had suffered through Daisy's funeral instead of throwing a party. You're 35 years old, Michael. So what? What does that have to do with helping your son out of a jam? It's not like you can't afford it. Jennifer's voice sharpened in the background. Tell him we need that money. We already spent it. I said no. The words felt foreign in my mouth, the first time I had ever denied Michael anything. This is unbelievable. His voice turned cold. Mom just died, and you're getting cheap over money. She would want you to help us. The manipulation was so casual, so practiced. How many times had he played this card? How many times had Daisy and I caved because he invoked family loyalty? Your mother wanted you at her funeral. Michael's breath hitched. Fine, fine. We'll figure it out ourselves. We'll use more cards. We'll borrow from Jennifer's parents. Whatever. But don't expect us to come around much if you're going to be like this. The threat hung in the air. For 35 years it had worked perfectly. Michael's presence as a reward for Arthur's money, his absence as a punishment for saying no. I understand, I said calmly. What? I understand. Take care of yourself, Michael. I hung up before he could respond. The phone sat silent on my desk. No longer an instrument of manipulation. For the first time in decades, I had ended a conversation with my son on my terms. I opened my laptop and pulled up Michael's employee file. Tomorrow morning, we would have a different kind of conversation. One conducted in the office where I was the boss, not the father who had forgotten the difference. If Michael wanted to treat me like a stranger, I would accommodate him, professionally. At 7:30 a.m., I walked into the lobby of Price Construction, 2 hours before Michael's usual arrival time. His employee photo hung on the management wall, smiling confidently in a suit I'd bought him. Today, I studied that picture with new eyes, seeing entitlement where I had once seen promise. In my office, Michael's personnel files were spread across my desk like evidence in a trial. 8 years of work records told the real story. Missed deadlines, complaints from contractors, inflated expense reports, projects delayed because Michael prioritized long lunches over site supervision, client relationships damaged by his casual attitude toward commitments. I had made excuses for it all. Family loyalty. Daisy's gentle reminders that Michael is still learning. But these documents revealed a pattern of professional negligence that would have ended any other employee's career years ago. At 8:45, I called Sarah Miller, our HR director, into my office. She would need to handle the paperwork properly. Her face showed no surprise when I explained my decision. She'd been documenting Michael's infractions for months, waiting for me to act. I'll prepare the termination papers immediately, she said quietly. Security escort? Yes, standard protocol for management dismissals. I practiced my speech in the office mirror, watching my reflection deliver the words with cool professionalism. No emotion, no explanation beyond what was legally required. Michael would walk into this room as my son the employee, and walk out as a fired worker. At 9:30, Michael strolled in, 15 minutes late, joking with the receptionist about his recovery from Jennifer's party. His laughter echoed down the hall as coworkers glanced nervously toward my closed office door. He stopped at the coffee machine, completely unaware of the storm about to break. "Michael, please come to my office, immediately." My voice over the intercom had a new authority. Michael's casual reply came down the hall. "Sure, Dad. Let me grab my coffee." "Now, Michael." The silence that followed told me he'd noted the shift. His footsteps approached slowly, heavier than usual. When he opened my door and saw Sarah waiting with paperwork, his smile faltered. "What's all the formality?" He tried for his usual breezy tone, but uncertainty crept in. I remained seated, hands folded on the desk. "Michael, your employment with Price Construction is terminated, effective immediately." His laugh was strained. "Very funny, Dad. What's this really about?" I slid the termination papers across the polished surface. "Please review these documents and sign where indicated." The papers seemed to burn his fingers as he picked them up. His eyes scanned the legal language, his face draining of color. "You can't be serious. This is our family business. This decision is based on your job performance and professional conduct." My voice remained level, professional. "Your position has been eliminated due to restructuring." "This is about yesterday's call, isn't it?" His voice cracked just slightly. "Look, I'm sorry about the money. We can work this out. Security will escort you to collect your personal items." Michael's demeanor shifted from disbelief to desperation. "Mom wouldn't want this. You know she wouldn't." He leaned forward, trying to invoke the guilt that had always worked before. I buzzed security. "It's a business decision, not a personal one." Mike Thompson appeared in the doorway, professional but sympathetic. Michael's face flushed as he realized the humiliation was real. Co-workers had gathered in the hallway, watching as their former boss's son was escorted out like a common criminal. "Dad, please." Michael's last plea came as he grabbed his coffee mug and the desk photo of Jennifer. "Think about what this means." I met his eyes for the first time during the encounter. I have. Through my office window, I watched him load his pathetic collection of personal items into his car. His shoulders were shaking, with rage or grief, I couldn't tell. As he took one last look at the building, I turned away. Sarah returned with the signed paperwork. "All access codes have been changed. His computer access is terminated." I removed Michael's photo from the management wall myself, placing it face down in a drawer. The empty space looked cleaner somehow. My secretary buzzed. "Mr. Price? There's someone here to see you. No appointment." Designer heels clicked aggressively on the lobby's marble floor. Jennifer Price burst past reception without waiting, her perfectly styled hair slightly disheveled. Michael trailed behind her, looking ashamed and defeated, a shadow of the confident man who'd walked into this building an hour earlier. "How dare you humiliate Michael like this?" Jennifer's voice rang out as she pointed an accusing finger at me. I remained seated, not acknowledging her theatrical entrance. Michael stepped between Jennifer and my desk, his shame growing. "Jen, let me handle this." She ignored him completely. "We have bills to pay, Arthur, a lifestyle to maintain. This family business belongs to Michael, too." "This is a private workplace," I said calmly. "You need to leave." Her face reddened further. "We deserve a severance package, 6 months at least. Michael worked here for 8 years. You owe us." Michael's weak attempts at mediation fell on deaf ears. "Dad, please, can we just discuss this privately?" "No," Jennifer snapped. "He needs to hear this. I know the laws about wrongful termination." "Michael was an at-will employee," I replied coolly. "No severance is required by law or contract." Jennifer's attacks turned personal with venomous precision. "Daisy would be ashamed of how you're treating her son. You're having some kind of breakdown, aren't you? Just a bitter old man taking your grief out on us." Michael's face went white. "Jen, please don't say that." My jaw tightened, but I kept my composure. This was exactly the reaction I expected from her. Manipulation, disguised as righteous anger. Michael tried desperately to regain control. "Dad, I know I messed up with the funeral. I'm sorry. But destroying my career won't bring Mom back. Think about what this means for our family, for future grandchildren." The words hung in the air like smoke from a dying fire. I looked at this man who shared my DNA but none of my values. What family? Jennifer's financial threats escalated quickly. We'll sue for our share of Daisy's inheritance. Michael is entitled to half of everything. We know about the life insurance policy. Daisy left everything to me. The simple truth deflated her bravado momentarily. That's impossible. We're getting a lawyer. I buzzed security as Jennifer's voice reached dangerous levels. Mike Thompson returned with backup, his presence filling the office entryway. Several employees had gathered in the hall, drawn by the commotion. "I'm not leaving!" Jennifer shrieked as security approached. "This is theft! This is abuse!" Her resistance was futile, but loud. The entire office heard her threats and accusations as she was escorted through the lobby. Michael's humiliation hit new depths, watching his wife be physically removed from his former workplace. As the noise faded, Michael stood alone with me. His final emotional manipulation came in a whisper. "I'm all the family you have left." The words were meant to break me. Instead, they clarified everything. I looked at this stranger who had worn my son's face for 35 years and told him the truth he needed to hear. "No, you're just someone who used to be my son." Michael's face crumbled. For a moment, I saw the little boy who once ran into my arms after school. Then, the moment passed, and only the entitled stranger remained. He left without another word. I addressed my worried employees with calm professionalism, explaining it was a personal matter that wouldn't affect business operations. Most nodded with understanding. They had witnessed Michael's poor performance for years. "Please ensure Mrs. Price is never allowed in this building again," I instructed security. Alone in my office, I felt my hands tremble, just slightly. The hardest part was over. I looked at Daisy's photo on my desk. "I hope you understand." Opening my computer, I searched for estate planning attorneys. It was time to accelerate the next phase. I scheduled an appointment with Robert King for that afternoon, then noticed Michael's birthday marked on my calendar for next month. I permanently deleted it. The prestigious law offices of King & Associates occupied the top floor of the city's tallest building. At 2:30 p.m., I walked into the reception, carrying my leather briefcase with Daisy's will, the insurance documents, and the financial records that would reshape my family's future. The receptionist recognized me immediately, ushering me straight into Robert King's corner office. Afternoon sunlight streamed through tall windows overlooking downtown, illuminating rows of law books and active case files that created an atmosphere of serious business. Robert stood from behind his own mahogany desk, concern evident in his eyes. We had been friends for 20 years. He had handled Daisy's will, my company's incorporation, and countless legal matters requiring discretion. "Arthur, how are you holding up?" His voice carried genuine sympathy. I declined his offer of coffee, settling into the leather chair opposite his desk. "I need to make some changes to my estate plan." Robert's expression shifted to professional mode. "Of course, updating beneficiaries after Daisy's passing is standard." "No." I opened my briefcase and pulled out the documents. "I'm cutting Michael out completely." The words hit Robert like a physical blow. His professional composure wavered as he processed the implications. "Arthur, I need to understand what's driving this decision." I calmly explained Michael's absence from the funeral, including his exact words about Jennifer's birthday party. Robert's face darkened with each detail. As Daisy's friend and our family's lawyer, he understood the magnitude of Michael's betrayal. "I want to create an entirely new will," I continued. "The primary beneficiary will be the Daisy Price Memorial Foundation." Robert leaned forward, his concern now focused on the legal implications. "Arthur, I am obligated to make sure you are thinking clearly about this." I've never been more clear about anything. I outlined my vision: educational scholarships for underprivileged kids, funding for cancer research, causes Daisy had supported throughout her life. Michael is to be explicitly excluded, along with any future descendants. Robert's admiration grew as I detailed the foundation's structure. Moving the company's assets into an irrevocable trust would protect everything from potential lawsuits. I would maintain control during my lifetime, and the foundation would assume ownership upon my death. "We'll need to change all insurance beneficiaries," Robert noted, taking detailed notes. "This is extremely thorough planning." I decided the family home would be sold, the proceeds donated to the foundation. Daisy's jewelry would be auctioned for charity. The one exception, Daisy's wedding ring would be buried with me when my time came. And Michael's childhood belongings? Robert asked softly. Donated. I am systematically removing Michael from my life. Robert did his professional duty, questioning my mental state and decision-making capacity. My rational answers and detailed planning proved my clear-headedness. He slowly shifted from a worried friend to an admiring professional. The formal signing ceremony involved 2 legal witnesses from Robert's firm. My steady signature contrasted with the magnitude of each decision. Robert explained that these documents were legally effective immediately. Michael was now completely disinherited. I want Michael to receive a formal notification of this change, I instructed. Further legal protections followed quickly. Power of attorney documents removing Michael's authority. Medical directives excluding him from decisions about my health care. A living will with specific instructions for my care. Robert documented my mental competency thoroughly. Tomorrow, I would visit the banks to update all accounts, removing Michael as a beneficiary from retirement funds and investment portfolios. Robert offered to help coordinate with the financial institutions. The foundation planning brought an unexpected peace. I named Robert as a trustee. We discussed the board structure and planned the first scholarship recipients. Daisy's memory would be honored through education, something she valued deeply. Daisy would be proud of this foundation, Robert said as we concluded. She always believed in education and helping others. For the first time in days, I felt a genuine satisfaction instead of cold determination. Robert understood this wasn't revenge. It was justice. My transformation from grieving father to resolute philanthropist was complete. We shook hands outside the firm. My phone showed 3 missed calls from Michael, the first sign he was realizing the gravity of his situation. I deleted the voicemails without listening and walked to my car. The next phase awaited. The elegant lobby of the country club welcomed me with familiar luxury. Mahogany panels, crystal chandeliers, and oil portraits of the founding members created an atmosphere of old money and established values. As the treasurer for the monthly board meeting, I had walked these halls for 15 years. 12 board members gathered around the polished conference table, discussing routine club matters before our official meeting. The scent of leather furniture and fresh coffee mingled with hushed conversations about recent events. Bill Harris, our board president, approached with genuine sympathy. Arthur, the memorial service was beautiful. Daisy would have been pleased. Thank you for the flowers, Bill, I replied gratefully. Patricia Morton, Daisy's sister and a lifelong member, joined our conversation. I kept looking for Michael during the service. Where was he? The question I had been expecting hung in the air. I paused, then decided the truth would serve Daisy's memory better than diplomacy. Michael chose not to attend his mother's funeral. A stunned silence spread like ripples in water. Patricia's face paled. What do you mean he chose not to attend? I repeated Michael's exact words about Jennifer's birthday party being more important. The visible disgust on the board members' faces told me everything about their values. Values Michael had abandoned. Bill's wife, Nancy, had been listening from the hallway. Within minutes, she was making phone calls. The story hit the Ladies' Bridge Club within an hour, then spread through the city's social elite like wildfire. I returned home, unaware of the social firestorm I had just unleashed. The first consequences hit Jennifer the next morning. Her yoga instructor at the exclusive studio asked her to leave mid-session. "We prefer members with family values," was the cold explanation. Michael's lunch invitation at the country club was rescinded with a polite but firm phone call. His regular table at the downtown restaurant became permanently unavailable. Jennifer's confusion turned to dawning anger as the patterns emerged. Saturday morning brought Michael's most humiliating moment. His regular golf foursome made thin excuses and left early. The pro shop manager suggested Michael might be more comfortable elsewhere. He walked alone to his car, understanding that everyone knew about the funeral. Jennifer's shopping trip to her favorite upscale boutique shattered her remaining illusions. The saleswoman's cold reception replaced years of warm service. Her request for store credit was met with mysterious delays. The manager suggested she might prefer to shop elsewhere. Michael's professional isolation proved just as devastating. Job interviews were canceled without explanation. Old business contacts stopped returning his calls. His networking lunch at the Chamber of Commerce turned awkward and brief. Potential employers knew the story before he arrived. The final blow came at the elite hair salon, where Jennifer's standing appointment was suddenly lost. Overhearing other clients discussing her heartless husband, she fled in tears. The local paper society columnist mentioned the disappointing absence at Daisy's service. Members of the church congregation expressed their open disapproval. Old friends avoided Michael and Jennifer at public events. Michael's desperate attempts to explain the situation fell on deaf ears. His claims that I was overreacting were met with universal disbelief. The city's tight-knit community had delivered its verdict. Jennifer's breakdown was inevitable. She confronted Michael about his ruined reputation, demanding he fix this immediately. When Michael admitted he didn't know how, she threatened to leave him if things didn't improve. I learned of this social fallout from various sources, feeling the satisfaction of justice being served naturally. The town's values aligned with my own: family loyalty, respect for the dead, basic human decency. Michael had violated them all. The community was honoring Daisy's memory by shunning those who dishonored her. My phone rang during breakfast. The bank manager's voice conveyed professional concern. "Mr. Price, Michael and Jennifer's mortgage payment is 30 days past due. You are still guaranteeing the loan, correct?" I paused, considering the implications. "I'd like to schedule a meeting tomorrow morning to discuss changes to my guarantees." Financial pressure would complete what social exile had begun. At 9 a.m., I walked into the marble lobby of First National Bank, past the oil portraits of the founding members who had built their fortunes on honest work and family values. The bank manager's corner office, David Harrison's, overlooked the Grand River, where barges carried the cargo that built the city's prosperity for generations. David's nervousness was palpable as he reviewed Michael and Jennifer's files spread across his mahogany desk. Mortgage papers, loan agreements, and guarantee forms created a paper trail of financial dependency that was about to end. "Arthur, I appreciate you coming in on such short notice." David's voice had an uncomfortable formality. "Michael's mortgage is now 60 days delinquent. The amount past due is $18,400. I sat perfectly composed, hands folded. "I understand you need the payment from my guarantee." "Well, yes, as you have for the past 3 months. David's assumption hung in the air like smoke before a fire. "I am withdrawing my guarantee, effective immediately." The banker's face paled. I don't understand. You've guaranteed this loan for 8 years. I presented pre-drafted legal documents from Robert King's office. "You'll find everything in order. 30 days notice as required by law." David frantically called the bank's legal department while I silently watched the morning traffic cross the bridge Daisy and I had walked countless times. The lawyer's voice over the speakerphone confirmed what David feared. My withdrawal was perfectly legal. "This means we will have to begin foreclosure proceedings," David said weakly. "I understand. Please expedite the process." Meanwhile, across town, Michael endured his 10th job interview in 2 weeks. The interviewer's cold reception followed a pattern he'd learned to expect. His prepared explanations about seeking new challenges fell on deaf ears that had already heard the story of the funeral. "Nay, thank you for your time, Mr. Price. We'll be in touch." The polite dismissal had an air of finality. Michael's growing desperation showed in his slumped shoulders as he walked to his aging car. The luxury one had been repossessed last month. That afternoon, Jennifer discovered the credit card crisis at the department store. Her platinum card was declined for a simple purchase, mascara to replace the one she'd cried off. "There must be some mistake," she told the embarrassed sales clerk. Her angry call to the credit card company revealed the truth. "Your co-signer has withdrawn his guarantee. The account is suspended until the outstanding balance is paid in full." Jennifer's public humiliation deepened as other shoppers watched her argue with customer service. The crystal-clear reality hit her. Arthur had systematically removed every financial safety net they had taken for granted. Michael and Jennifer returned home to find their power was cut. The utility company's notice cited unpaid bills totaling over $1,200. Michael's failed negotiations with the payment department ended when they discovered his job loss. Their first night by candlelight became a crash course in reality. Jennifer paced their dark living room, designer heels clicking against the hardwood floors, accusing Michael of destroying their lives. His weak attempts to blame Arthur for being vindictive were met with her rising hysteria. "You fix this or I'm gone," she declared with venom. Michael's desperate credit applications were instantly denied. His debt-to-income ratio had become impossible without steady employment. Jennifer's maxed-out cards offered no relief. For the first time, they discussed bankruptcy with genuine fear. Their garage sale of their luxury items yielded pathetic results. Wedding gifts that cost guests hundreds sold for $20. Old friends drove by but didn't stop. Jennifer watched her jewelry collection disappear to strangers while Michael sold his golf clubs to a teenager. The repo man towing the luxury car in broad daylight provided the neighborhood's entertainment. Michael's humiliation was complete as he pulled his personal items out under the repo man's impatient gaze. Jennifer screamed at the driver as neighbors watched from their windows. I drove past their house that evening, observing the visible chaos with satisfaction. This wasn't cruelty. It was consequence. Daisy had always taught that actions have results. Michael was finally learning that lesson when Michael called, begging for a face-to-face meeting, claiming he had something important to say. I agreed to meet at the main park the following afternoon. The same park where I'd taught him to ride a bike 30 years ago, back when he still looked at me with love instead of calculation. I hung up and looked at a framed photo of young Michael on his bike, remembering simpler times. Then, I turned the photo face down on my desk. 6 months after my bank meeting, the county foreclosure auction took place on the courthouse steps. I watched from across the street in my black sedan, seeing Michael and Jennifer's former dream home go up for public sale. The county auctioneer read the legal description with bureaucratic precision as a small crowd of property investors and curious onlookers gathered. Michael and Jennifer stood apart from the crowd, Jennifer's tears reflecting the morning sunlight. Through my binoculars, I watched their final humiliation unfold. "Opening bid is $280,000 for this 4-bedroom home," the auctioneer announced. A woman in a navy business suit confidently raised her hand. Michael frantically tried to identify her, whispering urgently to Jennifer. The bidding reached $315,000 with only 2 participants left, the mystery woman and a local contractor. When my lawyer, Robert King, arrived and nodded to the woman, Michael's growing suspicion crystallized into a shocking realization. "That's Dad's lawyer," he whispered to Jennifer, his voice carrying across the quiet crowd. Jennifer's disbelief was audible. He wouldn't. He couldn't. Michael's desperate attempt to approach the mystery bidder was blocked by courthouse security. The auction continued with mechanical efficiency as Michael's world collapsed in real time. $317,000, said the woman in the navy suit. Going once, going twice, sold. Michael's legs buckled. Jennifer's scream, "That's our house," echoed off the courthouse walls as the auctioneer's gavel sealed their fate. I got out of my car and walked toward the courthouse steps. My presence made Michael understand the full scope of my 6-month strategy. The withdrawal of the guarantee, the perfect timing, the bid amount calculated to match the mortgage balance exactly. It had all been orchestrated with business precision. The mystery bidder revealed herself as Sarah Miller, my trusted secretary, acting as an agent for the newly formed LLC. Michael staggered toward me on shaking legs, his broken voice barely audible. "How could you do this to us?" "I didn't do anything," I replied calmly. "The bank did." His desperate pleas about Daisy's favorite garden and his love for this house were met with my cold reply, "Daisy isn't here to see what you've become." Jennifer's final attack came as a wild lunge, screaming accusations about elder abuse and mental incompetence. Robert King documented her hysteria as security escorted her away from me. The entire scene provided perfect proof of her true character. 2 weeks later, the moving truck looked pitifully small for their former life. Jennifer threw clothes into suitcases with violent anger, while Michael carefully wrapped Daisy's crystal vase, the last gift connecting him to his mother. Their former neighbors watched, but offered no help. The social exile was complete. Jennifer's ultimatum came that afternoon. I can't live like this anymore. Her confession about talking to her ex-boyfriend marked the breaking point of their marriage. I married into a wealthy family, not this. Her cruel final words were the ones that hurt the most. Your father was right about us. Michael spent his last night alone in the empty house, walking through rooms filled with memories of better times. In the kitchen drawer, he found Daisy's hidden note. Michael, remember, we love you. For the first time, genuine tears of regret fell as he understood what he had truly lost. I received the keys from Sarah Miller with quiet satisfaction. My decision to renovate the house and donate it to a deserving family would complete the circle. Daisy would approve of this justice. That evening, Michael called from a payphone outside a cheap motel. His cell service canceled. The phone rang in my house, but seeing Michael's name on the caller ID, I let it go to voicemail. The final confrontation could wait. Michael arrived at my front door at 7:30 p.m. on a cold November night, 3 months after losing the house. His finger hovered over the doorbell for a full minute as I watched from the living room window, debating whether to answer. When I finally opened the door, I did not invite him in. Michael's appearance shocked me. Unshaven, wearing a wrinkled shirt and jeans, he had aged 5 years and 6 months. His obvious weight loss and defeated posture were a stark contrast to his former arrogance. Dad, I know I messed up, terribly. His voice shook as he launched into a rehearsed speech about understanding his mistakes now. I listened impassively from the doorway as he described living in a studio apartment above a laundromat, working at a gas station for minimum wage, and Jennifer leaving him for her ex-boyfriend, who owned a chain of restaurants. I've learned my lesson about what's really important, he claimed. When he shifted tactics, suggesting I was all alone in this big house and offering to be the son Mom wanted me to be, I recognized every manipulation technique he was using. When is your mother's birthday? I asked suddenly. Michael paused, then guessed wrong. June 15th? What was her favorite flower? Roses? Another wrong answer. Daisy loved daisies. My realization was complete. Michael had never really known Daisy at all. His growing frustration with my questions revealed his true nature. The old entitled tone crept back in. This is ridiculous. Just tell me what you want me to say. Finally, his true purpose emerged. Okay, fine. Yes, I need help. The eviction notices, the desperate promises to pay me back when I get on my feet, the suggestion that I was wealthy enough to help family. Michael still saw me as an ATM. His final manipulation involved Daisy. Mom would be heartbroken to see us like this. She always believed in second chances. I miss her too, Dad. We both loved her. For a moment I wavered, remembering Daisy's good heart. Then I realized this was exactly what Daisy had feared. Do you want to know what your mother really thought? I retrieved Daisy's hidden journal from her nightstand and read her own words. I worry that Michael only loves our money. What if we've raised a son who doesn't know how to love? Michael's stunned silence told me everything. Daisy died knowing what you really are, I said calmly. She changed her will before she died. She left you nothing because she knew you would waste it. Michael's mask finally fell away completely. His angry threats about contesting the will and calling me senile revealed his vindictive nature. His cruel final words, "I hope you die alone in this house," gave me complete satisfaction in seeing his true character. I stepped back and quietly closed the door. Michael banged on the door for several minutes while I went to the kitchen and made tea as if nothing had happened. When his car finally sped away, I sat in Daisy's favorite chair, holding her journal, feeling completely at peace for the first time since her death. Looking at our wedding photo, I said quietly, "It's over, my love." 1 year later, I walked through the city cemetery on a sunny May morning, carrying fresh daisies to Daisy's grave. Birds sang in the oak trees as spring flowers bloomed along the paths. I looked healthier, more at peace than I had in years. Kneeling by Daisy's polished granite headstone, I arranged the new daisies as I spoke softly about the thriving first year of the Daisy Price Memorial Foundation. 20 scholarships awarded to deserving students. $200,000 donated to cancer research in Daisy's name. The community center dedication planned for Daisy's birthday. Michael is working at the gas station on the main highway, I reported matter-of-factly. His divorce is finalized. Jennifer remarried her restaurant owner. Michael is living in complete social isolation and financial hardship. I felt no satisfaction in his suffering, only justice. Leaving the cemetery, I stopped at the local diner. Michael was working behind the counter in a stained uniform. Our eyes met across the room. His shocked recognition and visible shame were palpable as I calmly ordered a coffee, treating him like any other service worker. "How are you, Dad?" Michael's voice had a genuine humility, for the first time ever. "I'm doing well, thank you." "I know sorry isn't enough," he said quietly. "No, it isn't." Michael's admission surprised me. "I understand now what I lost. It was never about the money, was it? You wanted me to love you, not your wallet. Your mother wanted that too." For the first time, Michael's tears seemed genuine. "I did what I had to do," I explained. "Daisy would have approved. I have no regrets." "I know," Michael agreed. "I deserved all of it." "Yes, you did." When Michael asked if there was any way to come back from this, I answered honestly, "I don't know. You would have to prove you've really changed, not with words. Show me with your actions." I described my new life, volunteering at the community center, new friendships with other volunteers, Sunday dinners with the family whose daughter received a scholarship. I was dating Grace, a kind widow from church. My life was full of purpose and genuine relationships. Visiting Sarah Jenkins, our first scholarship recipient, brought a deep satisfaction. Her gratitude for the chance to attend nursing school. Her letter to Daisy's memory on the Foundation's website. Daisy's memory was living on through education. Driving home, I passed Michael's old house and saw the Johnson family had transformed it into a home filled with love and gratitude. Mr. Johnson waved to me from the garden Daisy once tended. Children played where Michael once played. The house embodied everything Daisy had valued. That evening, I made dinner in the kitchen I once shared with Daisy, setting a single place setting without sadness. My phone rang, Graciela calling about our weekend plans. I smiled, the first genuine happiness since Daisy's death. Standing in the garden at sunset, pruning Daisy's rose bushes, I felt the peace of a man who fought for justice and won. My certainty that I had honored my wife's memory brought complete satisfaction. Going to bed early, I slept deeply for the first time in 2 years, dreaming of Daisy smiling and telling me, "You did the right thing, Arthur. I'm proud of you." Justice was served. Love had required hard choices, but the right ones. Rest in peace, my love. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts on this story in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for listening.